Hi, welcome back. How are you?
Doing good.
Okay, that's good. So, this is our second session. Um, for this session, I really wanted to focus on getting to know the way you think and the way you interpret kind of things happening in your life.
Okay.
Just kind of get a feel of how how that kind of shapes you as a person and shapes your personality and shapes your thinking and obviously any issues that you have. Okay? Awesome. So, is there anything specifically that you feel like has been an issue in your life?
Um, Relationships.
Okay. Is it more of a problem of um, connecting or dealing with another person in that close of a proximity?
I guess like kind of both. I
Okay.
really had to think about it. I definitely think it would be both.
Okay. So, is there anyone, when you think about it, is there anyone specific in mind?
Uh, yeah. So if we're gonna talk relationships, I'd kind of probably focus more on like significant others and like
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
past possible relationships that I could have been in that I kind of was like, no, I'm not going to do that. Because I don't have a lot of close friendships, but I know how to make those, and like that's not really a problem. But like, I'm like 24 and I don't have a boyfriend, and like it's kind of embarrassing that everyone else kind of has somebody and like I don't. So I'm just like, that's something that I know I need to work on. So
Mm-hmm.
like, definitely to be able to explore that a little bit.
So, you feel embarrassed because you don't have a significant other at the moment, at this
Y-
age?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
because like when I think back to it, like my dad was married, my mom was married, and like, well, my mom had a kid. She was like in a relationship like when she was my age, and like my sister and my brothers have been in relationships, and then there's me who just has never had
Okay.
anybody, so it's kind of like embarrassing. And then like my friends are always out doing stuff with their like boyfriends and girlfriends, and I'm just like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
cool, like I don't get to do
Yeah.
anything this weekend. So like it's definitely like something that I want to share something like that with somebody, but yeah, I just don't know how to get
You're
past
not
my
fully
issues.
comfortable
Yeah.
getting past the awkward connecting phase yet.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. I would definitely say don't compare yourself to your parents' relationship, especially. That was a different time. A lot of people got young, very much younger than nowadays. Nowadays, it's much more open. There's a lot of people who hadn't had a significant other by their 30s.
Yeah.
There is no rush, no rush at all. It's something that is really for at your time with the right person. You don't have to like feel pressure just like anyone and find
Yeah.
anyone. You don't have to do
Yeah,
that.
that's definitely like something that I've steered clear
Yeah.
from is because like I know the climate and I'm like I know totally what I don't want,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm just like I'm just gonna like wait it out until like he comes along type thing. But it's just
Okay.
like am I doing something wrong like on the
Mm-hmm.
outside and like putting off that barrier, or is it just like I just cosmically haven't come in contact with the person yet? So
Okay. So you have your own little theories about it.
yeah,
You have your, am I just gonna wait till the right person comes along? I mean, does the right person gonna come along? We don't know.
yeah,
We don't know
yeah,
that. We don't know that. And you obviously don't want to settle now and possibly miss anything.
yeah.
But I think to be able to get to that point where you find that one person that like fits,
Mhm.
and that's gonna, it's never gonna be easy, but that's gonna be easier to connect to. You do have to practice almost,
Yeah.
and I don't want to say use other people to practice, but explore and figure out how to connect
Yeah.
and experiment. Like no one's natural at it. Everyone needs to learn how to connect to other people,
Yeah.
and everyone needs to take their time on it. Take your own time on it. It's nothing to rush. So, this was based on more or less one person, I'm getting from
It-
like the.
So there was like one person, and then so I guess there's been kind of like a trio of guys that have like gotten me to this point. So I had a friend in high school that ended up asking me out, and we went out for literally less than a day. And I just like dove into it, not completely understanding him not completely understanding me, and I kind of just ended it instead of like talking it out. And like that's one thing like I regret today because we ended up going our separate ways, so like I don't have communication with him anymore, and that's something that definitely like is a barrier for like when I think about it. It's like, well, that happened then, what's gonna happen now type thing. So like it's something that is always in the back of my head. It's just like playing out the scenarios like differently and like wanting a better outcome, but like ultimately it's in the past, and like I
Yeah.
don't have contact with him, so it's not like I can try to build anything with him anymore. So
Okay. So, this is something you would. Is it something you would want to revisit because of him as a person, or because this is kind of the one person that you had a connection with, and you're like, maybe that's gonna work, and I don't want to have to meet other people.
So it was kind of like both almost. Like he was like the first real person that I had like actually cared for a while. Um, so it was kind of unexpected how it came about, and he was totally not the type of person that I picture myself being with. And he was just, I don't know, a good person, and just the way like everything ended, it just kind of like dang type thing.
Mhm.
So I would want to reach out and like try talking to him just because like we were such good friends, and like time has come. So I wonder if like it would be better the second time around because like we kind of knew where we were at in high school, and now we're like two grown different people that have gone through experiences. But I don't know, there's also that like he's living his life, and I don't want to be that thing from high school
Yeah.
that like creeped up and then ruins his life. So I'm like, maybe it's just best to like move on, and if the world wants us to come together, then like we'll come together when the time is right type
Okay.
thing.
So you feel regret. You feel the regret when thinking about that small relationship and that connection. But you have to realize that feeling regret doesn't mean having to revisit that.
Yeah.
It can mean, yes, I regret it, but I can live with that decision because you are living with the decision, and you have been living with the decision since high school. And I don't think revisiting that one person is going to make that regret go away. It's just going to kind of be something that's like, I tried again,
Yeah.
give it another chance.
Yeah.
I think something that you want to think about going forward, and that you've mentioned now a couple times, is kind of the getting past the first weird stage of really knowing what's going on, really knowing what the connection is and how to deal with it. Because it seems like you've been saying, you immediately broke it off. You didn't even think about the connection between you two, how you were as two people. Just kind of got thrown into it. So I think in future instances, instead of being just scared of connecting with someone at all, give it time, give it some thought in the beginning, and move it slowly, and really keep evaluating what you're thinking yourself. Keep kind of revisiting those, like, is this what I want? How am I connecting with this other person? And how are we as two individuals? That's also something you need to think about as you as an individual. What do you want? Do you really want to be in a relationship now?
I mean, like with stuff that's going on, it's like I would like to have another person to like talk
Okay.
to, but like also at the same time, it's like I don't. With everything that's going on, it's like the burden comes up, and it's just like I'm already
Yeah.
like there's already enough people in my life right now that have to deal with it, so I'm like, like it'd be nice to like have somebody to like kind of escape with, but at the same time, like I would have to explain so much to them, and it's like I don't know if I'd want to add another person to my life like that. So
Yeah.
it's like I don't know. It's like I mean, there is somebody that I'm like currently talking to, but it's not progressing anywhere. So I'm like, it's like fine. Like you can stay here in this like nice little box and like, but they're like I do want him to know some of the stuff that I've been going through and like dealing with, but at the same time I'm like I kind of need him as like that person right now, and I'm just like what I would tell him would scare him off, or like I'm afraid would scare him off. So I'm just like, no, you're just a nice little present. That it's just gonna
Okay.
stay there, and like we'll evaluate that at a different time and place.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what I've been getting from this whole conversation is that you feel that relationships really are a lot of work and a lot is gonna have to go into it, which yes, there is gonna be a lot that has to go into it, but it doesn't have to be a reason for you to not try.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be like, well, it's a lot of work, so I'm not even gonna do it. It's not the approach you take in anything else in your life. It's not the approach you take when you think like, oh, homework, you know, like it's a giant paper, it's a lot of work. I'm just not gonna do it. I'm just not even gonna try. Relationships aren't that different. You're gonna have to try. It's gonna be a lot of work. It's gonna be frustrating, but you have to try, or it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like you said, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. But without trying, it's not. I can tell it's not. It's not magically just gonna, boom, person. There you go. You don't have to get to know them. You don't have to make a connection with them. They're there forever. It's done. It's not gonna be like that. So I think we can probably make a goal out of what we've kind of been talking about. I want to make it, because you've been talking about like you need to get past the initial stage. You need to get past the connection. You need to get past your fears of possibly being a burden, possibly. And I think for you, that's just going to be kind of a small, gradual step. So I think the goal for now would be to explore that connection that you're already having with someone that you put in a box. And the goal being just considering and exploring what would happen if we take that person out of the box. If we take that person and kind of consider maybe including them in a couple things. You don't have to immediately drop everything on them. All the things that you think might become a burden. You can just gradually kind of, here's a small thing, see how they deal with it, and see what happens. You don't have to overwhelm them, but really have the goal of just taking them out of the box and including them just a little by little, and try to get them to be more included in your deeper self and opening up to them to create that connection that you're looking for. Okay, do you think that's a goal that you can
Yeah,
achieve?
I think it's manageable. It's just getting over like the initial fear of like having to I don't know, like bare my soul to somebody like that, because he is like a super close friend of mine, so like he knows a lot but he doesn't know like everything, and I'm like that's kind of like the scary part, but I definitely like I can definitely try working on that.
It's going to be scary. It is. I'm not gonna lie to you. I would be scared. But it is something that if you want to move further in your relationships and in your connections with other people, it's something you kind of have to do and have to get yourself to explore. Okay. Awesome. So I really want to have you work on that, like until the next session, and have you maybe report back to me a little bit if that worked and if that's something that you think you can do to maybe connect even with other people in the future.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I'll see you in a week.
Okay.
Okay. So good. Okay. I hope you have a great rest
Yeah,
of your day.
you too.
Great.
Yeah, it restarted. Okay, so, well, this time you weren't nervously fidgeting with whatever you were complaining about fidgeting with last time.
I made sure not to have anything in my hands.
Yeah, like your body, again, was really professional. I did notice, like, your eyes kind of give it away. Like when I was, talking about, oh, like being a bird or something, like you kind of squinted
Oh.
and were just like, why, girl? Like,
yeah, I
so-
like remembered it. I was like, oh.
yeah, I'm just like, it wasn't like super obvious, but
Yeah.
like, I'm like, because like, the eyes are what we're looking at, because like the mask, it was just like, okay, I see like that triggered something in you, and it wasn't in like, I guess to me it wasn't in a bad way, it was just kind of like, yeah, well, yeah, I'm kind of
Yeah.
crazy, so
But
like,
someone that might not know me and that might be
yeah, that might
the
pick
first
up
time
on-
meeting me or the second time meeting me.
yeah,
Be like, oh,
yeah, so
why
I
should you
think
make that face?
I think that's one thing that
Yeah.
I would work
Control
on.
the eyes.
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty good at controlling my mouth, but it doesn't matter right now.
Yeah, right
So,
now it doesn't matter.
yeah.
But yeah, like everything else like was fine. I like the advice that you gave and we're just really open, like allowing me to have room to talk. I mean, I noticed you talked more this time than you
Yeah.
did last session. But it was all like good things though, so I don't think like you took up too much of my time to explain. I mean, there was like maybe one other part that probably would have helped with the explanation of some things, but I'm like, yeah, we can get to that one next time.
It would
but-
be better if we had an hour.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Really get into the specific things.
Yeah, and I'm just like, well, if we had like 5 more minutes, then like we could do this. But yeah, no, I still think you did like really well, and like you're really professional about how.
It was definitely harder than the last time.
You think so?
Yeah. Like without the confidentiality taken up like already a couple minutes.
Yeah.
And having to somehow come up with the start. Like, was this start okay? Like,
Yeah, I think the start was fine. That's like how you would normally greet a client.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, it was fine. But I didn't expand much on like how I was feeling today,
Yeah.
and like I saw you kind of like,
I was like,
okay,
come
well
on,
now we
come
have
on.
to.
I was like, what do we do now?
Right, now we have to do stuff. So I definitely think like the preparation of like the open questions to get the conversation
Yeah.
started could be definitely something to work
Yeah,
on.
and maybe have like, I don't know, rate or how you're feeling, how ready you
Yeah.
are for this session. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Mhm.
But I did like how you guided the conversation into something that you wanted
Yeah,
to talk
it was,
about.
It was a little hard. It was a
So-
little hard trying to get, because we didn't have the first session based on this
Yeah.
issue, and getting that conversation to go somewhere without having like any first session happening.
Yeah.
Like,
I think
don't know
like the
yet.
first session, like kind of, because I did talk about like relationships
you
in the
did,
first one,
yeah.
but this one was kind of more like significant other.
Yeah, rather than
instead
the
of, like-
friendship relationships
yeah.
that we were
Yeah.
talking about. That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I could have probably just treated you like the person you were in the first session. But
No, but like
I've
I
been
think,
like, so I know we talked about connections last time. Is there any connections you are feeling you need to explore right now?
yeah.
God.
So, I think you used more closed questions this time,
think we
and then you had to like pull more of the
Mhm.
conversation
Yeah.
out. So,
I think it was the thinking about the reflection questions
yeah,
that like made me stop thinking about the open-ended questions.
yeah. And I really didn't even like the formula. Like I didn't really feel like you put it into a formula. You almost like
Mhm. I tried
took
to.
it and was
yeah.
like, okay, so this is how you're feeling, and then kind of moved into like, well, maybe you don't need to be like feeling
Mhm.
like that way almost. So,
Yeah.
I don't know if you did a summary. I don't.
I tried to do a bit of a summary like right before stating the goal.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I tried to kind of get it like, okay, we talked about this and this and this. What what should be the goal that we get out of this
Okay, yeah.
based on that.
Yeah, see, like, I
Like,
kind
I
of got a
tried.
piece of that.
I
Yeah.
tried. It was really hard because I was like, oh god, I'm gonna like summarize just
10 minutes of stuff.
10 minutes. Well, relationship problem stuff.
I think it's also like the time. Like you don't want to be constantly like looking
Yeah.
at the time,
I didn't
so
wanna
it's
be
like
like,
kind of hard to like track
Yeah,
progress.
definitely.